Hi everybody, Mike here. Thanks for watching. Today we're going to have a short video showing you two different cameras for the HDZero Sharkbyte system. On the left is the HDZero Runcam Micro version 2 and also the Foxeer Digisight version 3 with the standard lens. Both of these cameras are the micro form factor, 19 by 19 on the body size. Both support the M12 lens thread size. Both of these also claim to have a half-inch size sensor, the largest available to date in these type of cameras. Both cameras use a MIPI cable to connect to the HDZero/Sharkbyte VTX, and both cameras have the same frame rate and resolution. It's worth noting that the HDZero has an option to be in 4:3 aspect mode as well as 16 by 9, where the Digisight is only 16 by 9. So this comparison, I'm going to compare the 16 by 9 setups for each camera. The HDZero camera supports changing the camera configuration. You can change things like brightness, sharpness, contrast, and there's also a new firmware out that allows you to change white balance settings manually as well. The Digisight camera does not allow any such configuration. What you get out of the box is what you have. You cannot make any changes to its settings. When comparing the lenses of these cameras, it appears to me that the Digisight standard lens is a little bit wider in coverage than the HDZero camera. Both of these cameras' coverage is wider than a GoPro shooting UHD 4K. So the HDZero has a slightly narrower field of view than the Digisight camera. It also appears to me that the HDZero lens has a little bit more barrel distortion. Take a look at the straight trees as they pass near the edges. The HDZero Runcam has a little bit more pronounced lens flare. You can see that on the left screen. It's the green lens flare. The Digisight Micro V3, it has its own lens flare, but it's a little more larger overall and soft. There is also a very apparent difference in the color balance of both cameras when they're out of the box. Like I said, the Digisight cannot be adjusted. The Micro Runcam, there is a new firmware update that allows you to adjust its white balance. The Digisight camera appears to be a little more saturated in color, a little warmer colors, whereas the HDZero Runcam appears to have a little more cooler, a little more blue and cyans in its image. You can tell by looking at the blacks and the whites on the launch pad. In an ideal situation, perfect color balance, blacks would be blacks, white would be white. The takeaway from this is that both cameras have their own skewed color cast. This color cast is confirmed by looking at the vector scopes of both images. This is an advanced technique to analyze color trends in an image. It is difficult to explain here how to read this, but I can tell from reading this that the Digisight has more of a warmer color, whereas the HDZero Runcam has more of a cooler color cast. It's also apparent that the two cameras and the lenses they ship with, they have a difference in contrast. Look at the blacks in the shadow of the trees or the whites of the highlights. It's apparent that the Digisight camera, its blacks are softer and less pronounced. The HDZero camera, the blacks are more crushed and appear more natural. When viewing the images from these cameras in the goggles, you may not see any difference, but if you look at the video in post-production and enlarge it in the screen, there are some slight differences in the digital artifacts created by both cameras. These screen captures have been blown up 4 times. The HDZero camera has just a little bit more digital artifacts and banding than the Digisight camera has. If you look at the Digisight camera up at the sky, there's a smoother transition between the sky and the trees on the top of the hill than there is in the HDZero. Also worth noting is the resolving power of the difference of the cameras. The one on the right, the tree in the skyline, there's a tall tree and 2 small trees to the right of it. In the HDZero camera, that image is a little more blurred and pixelated. I have here a GoPro of the same trees so you can compare, decide for yourself which of the 2 images are more true to life. Here's a similar 4 times close-up of the tree details, and also here is the GoPro of the trees as well. Both cameras have really good image and are acceptable and by far the best cameras made so far for the HDZero/Sharkbyte system to date. The big plus of the HDZero camera is out of the box it supports camera settings that you can change via your control sticks on your controller, where the Digisight camera you cannot change any of the settings. On the other hand, the lens of the Digisight is a little more true to life, a little less distorted, and has less lens flare. What I may do in the future is move the lens from the Digisight camera to the HDZero camera and see how that combination works. That might be interesting. Which one you prefer will depend on your type of flying and what your needs are. Anyways, thanks for watching.